Hi, I'm Beth from Sew Country, and no, you are not having deja vu. I am sewing another Heartbreak bag from K.Azcona Designs. I am thrilled that she allowed me to be included in the Valentine's Day Marathon. So happy Valentine's Day to everyone. And I'm going to sew this pattern just a little bit differently than my previous video. My previous video was an actual tutorial. I took my time and explained everything. But this one will be more relaxed. I'm actually going to kind of let this be a learning experience for both of us because I want to make a heart bag with Minky. If you've ever worked with Minky, it is so pretty, but it is challenging to do. So I'm probably making a big mistake, and this may not turn out well at all. It may be just horrible in the end. The reasons why is because it's kind of slippery to sew. Add that to the fact that I'm going to use this vinyl, which is a slick vinyl on the outside, means that I have two things that are going to be sliding around everywhere while I'm going around curves. Not smart, not smart. But I'm going to try it. I think it'll be fun for me to learn this way. I think it could be cute. We'll see how it goes. If it's horrible, we just learn together, and that's what sewing is. We have an idea, we try it, and we see if it works. So let's talk a little bit about what I'm doing in this video. I have Minky for my exterior. I added a layer of fusible foam and went ahead and attached my lining. So I only have, instead of having the 4 pieces, I only have 2 and they're ready to go. So that is that. For my zipper gusset, I'm using this vinyl. I also have my lining just clipped. I need to unclip that because they will be sewn separately. My bottom gusset are these 2 pieces here. I don't have my Decaville Heavy cut out yet. I'll cut that out when it's time to put it in there. I have the little strap for my D-ring connector for my wristlet. I do not know what I'm doing with my wristlet. I think I want to use just this. Just fold it a couple times and sew it together and just have a very soft, cuddly wristlet strap. That's what I'm thinking right now. I don't think I'm going to add any interface into it and just be soft and fun. So we'll see how that goes. I'll wait to decide at the end. I do have some zipper tape. My Minky is from Sew Girly Fun. My zipper tape is from Sew Stitch and Cold. My vinyl here is from J&R Edwards. I'll have links to everything in my description. But this is what we're going to do. So here are the pieces, and let's go ahead and get started. We will start making our zipper gusset first and see how that comes together. So the first thing we'll do is I want to work on my gusset. So the zipper gusset has the lining in the exterior. I cut my zipper tape a little bit longer than my gusset panels because that way I have a little bit of freedom and I can cut that off at the end. I'm going to lay down my lining piece first, right sides up. I'm going to lay my zipper tape on it, right side up, and I'm just going to base this together. Then I will do my exterior at the end. You can skip this step if you want to use double-sided tape or just clips. This is just the way I do it. It's a little bit easier for me. Okay, the zipper is attached to the lining. I'm going to take my exterior gusset and I'm just going to lay it right sides together with both the lining and the tape, and then I'm going to sew this on with the full seam allowance given in the pattern. Now I'm going to flip these wrong sides together so I can top stitch down on the exterior side and hiding the raw edge of that zipper tape. I am just going to top stitch 1/8 of an inch away from that folded edge. I have that attached. Now for my gusset, I just used a layer of Decaville Light that the pattern gives you the measurements for, and I already had that attached. For my lining, I used a cotton woven, so I just attached, it's Royal Pixie Light is what I use, but it's a SF101 equivalent. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a pull on my zipper and then I'll attach my bottom gusset. I'm going to baste. I'm going to take my bottom gusset and that short edge, I'm just going to line it up with the end of the zipper gusset and zipper tape. And I'm going to sew that on. This part I'm just going to baste because I'll still have to attach my lining piece. With the lining piece, I'll make sure I catch the full seam allowance. So I've basted my exterior bottom to my exterior zipper, right sides together. Now I'm going to flip that over and grab that. Put that over there. And I'm going to do the same thing with my lining. This time I will sew it with that bigger seam allowance. Take these two pieces, pull them wrong sides together, and now I'm just going to top stitch on the top of that bottom gusset 1/8 of an inch away from the folded edge. If this tutorial is going too fast and you want more explanation, please look in the description and I will have linked the full-length tutorial of this where I explain everything in more detail. I just don't want to bore the people that have already watched one of my tutorials with the same information over. So now what I'll do is I'll take the bottom edge of this gusset, flip it over here, and go ahead and attach it as well, baste it. I need to get this top edge over here. So what I'll do is I'll roll everything up really tightly. And now I'll sew this with that full seam allowance. I'm going to put a clip in there just to make sure. It's trying to shift a little bit where there's so many layers that I'm working with. And now I'm going to baste down on the other edge, doing a top stitch 1/8 of an inch away from that folded edge. Okay, now that we have our gusset, lining, and exterior attached to the zipper, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to baste all around the bottom to make my lining and my exterior one piece, and even going across this bottom gusset so that way I can make a pocket to insert my K.Dill heavy. Okay, now that I have that attached, I'm just going to slip in the K.Dill heavy that I cut according to the measurements given in the pattern. Slide that in that little pocket, and then I'm just going to baste the top closed and keep that secure in there. So now that we have our zipper gusset done, now is the time we start getting down to business to see if I can pull this off or not. I am going to sew my bottom on first, just like I did in my previous video. And I'm going to, I have my markings on the lining side, and I'm going to put right sides together with my gusset, yeah. I'm going to line up these, and right now it feels pretty good, but I'm not, I'm not for sure how this is going to work all out. I haven't even cut my binding out. I don't even know what I'm using for binding. That's how just kind of relaxed I'm going into this, because I don't know if this will work. So if it doesn't work, I'm not going to put a lot of effort and thought into it. So we'll see. Okay, I have my bottom clipped, and now I'm just going to go all the way around the sides and the top. Okay, my gusset is on, and it looks great. Thank you, Kim, for making a pattern that has a great fitting gusset. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to do my basting stitch. If you remember from my previous video, I like to just baste these two together, and then I'll attach my binding with that full seam allowance. I'm going to start sewing over here just like I always do, and go all the way around using my stiletto as I need. And I will speed up this video because I will be going extremely slow around this gusset. So I definitely had some slipping. I didn't want to use glue at the top, which I do in a lot of mine, because where it's minky, I was afraid it would just like get stuck in the fur and be all matted up. So let's just flip this out real quick. This is only the basting stitch, But I want to see how it's looking and if it's going to be pulled off. Oh my gosh. It doesn't look that bad. I'm okay with that. So there it is so far. Let's go ahead and get some binding on this. I've got to figure out what binding I'm going to use, and then we will continue on. But so far, I'm okay with that. I found some pink and purple stripy binding that I'd already pre-cut from another project. So I'm just going to use it. Yes, it doesn't match perfectly, but I'm not too worried about it. It's on the inside, and this bag is going to be for me, and I am okay with that. Okay, like I showed in my previous videos, I'm going to start sewing it here. I'm going to put my binding right sides together with the lining so that whenever I flip it over, it'll be the correct way. So this is the way I'll sew mine, all the way around with the full seam allowance given in the pattern. So I can see that my binding is going to be too short to complete the rest of the bag. So I'm just going to grab one of the extra strips I had, and I'm going to place it 90-degree angle, right sides together with my other piece of binding, and I'm just going to sew a diagonal line to attach these two without adding any extra bulk to the binding. I'm just going to trim off that extra corner there. And I'll finger press those seams open just so it's a little bit smoother. And then I can continue on with the binding process. Now I'm getting ready to finish. I have a little bit of overhang, and I already passed the point where I started my binding. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to make a small cut there, take off the last little bit. I'm going to fold the wrong sides together so I have a finished edge. I always like to start and stop a little bit away from each other so there's not too much bulk all at once. Now what I want to do is I'm just going to take my heart and I'm going to turn over and clip the raw edges under my binding and pull it to where it just matches those previous stitches I made. This part takes a while, so I'm going to stop the video so my camera does not overheat while I'm doing all this, and then I'll come back to show you how it is all clipped together. So I got my black binding clipped around. It was a little tricky because the minky where it is furry was kind of sticking out, and I'd have to trim it to make sure I could get everything caught and things of that nature. So I'm going to go ahead and sew on my binding, and I want to make sure that I try to keep it right within the part on this side where it folds over, but on the back side where I have it clipped. I will be sewing from this side, and if I go over a little bit over here, I'm not going to worry about it too much because of the way the bag will fold in. This side will be most seen from the interior side. So let's go ahead and sew on this binding and get everything attached. Okay, binding is attached on the back side. Now we're going to repeat all of those steps to do it to the front. So we are down to the final steps with my heart wristlet. I am going to have everything clipped together on the front. So a lot of people say this is the easier part for them, but this is so much more stressful to me. So anyway, I have everything clipped, and I'm going to go ahead and sew this with my zipper open. So I'm going to open that now. I'm going to take my time, and whenever I do this first step, it's just going to be that basting. So I'm just going to baste all around, go very slow, and then I'll attach my last row of binding, and then we will see if it's a disaster or not. I'm going to start sewing here, and with this, look at this minky. You can't even tell where the end is because the minky just sticks out everywhere. It's so funny. So I'm just going to try to use my stiletto and pull it down and make sure I get a proper sew on this. Let's start down here. That might be a little bit easier for me. Okay, I have this sewn on. Look at all this. So I'm definitely going to have to like trim it up to get the to be able to put the binding on the right way. So I'm going to go ahead and trim all the minky that's hanging off, and then I'm going to start sewing my binding on. I'm not trimming the zipper tape. I'm just trimming the fuzzy minky. And I will so have to vacuum and take a shower. I'll be sneezing minky for a week. I'm going to attach a couple of pieces of binding together just so I can have my piece a little bit longer, because if you remember in the last segment it was a little too short, so I'm going to try to prevent that from happening again on this one. I'm going to zip this up while I attach. No, I'm not. I'm not going to. No, I'm going to sew it on without it. Okay, so it is time to sew on the binding. I fold that edge under. I'm going to sew this binding on at the full seam allowance. I'm going to start over here in the corner, and I'm just going to hold my breath and hope that it goes okay and that the minky doesn't get in the way too much. Wish me luck. Okay, I attached the binding on the wrong way. I'm not even going to worry about it. This is my bag. I'm mainly focused on making sure that the minky turns out properly from the outside. Just know that you could pick this all out and redo it, but it's okay. And I'm not going to worry about it. It's my bag, and I'm okay with my imperfections. So we're going to go ahead and turn this and finish sewing this bag. So I decided there was really no benefit in you guys watching me sew the binding on inside out. So I went ahead and sewed the binding, but I have not, I'm just now finishing up, but I wanted to make sure that I had the camera on for the big reveal to see how this turns out. So while the inside is going to be kind of crazy with that wrong binding, it's not going to affect the outside of the bag any. So let's see how it looks. Now, as you know, when we first turn a bag out, we have to press it, like not with the iron, but even just our fingers to get everything to poke out. So we're going to turn it this way first and start poking before we look at it to see how it looks and what our final thoughts are. As if this was a success, we'll see if we can even zip it. Okay, it is zipping. Getting stuck there a little bit. Before any pressing, before any straightening, we have a minky heart. Oh my gosh. I can see a little bit of puckering here at the bottom. That's okay. I will try to push that out with my fingers and some clips. The back actually doesn't look that bad. The front looks great. I have a little bit of puckering right here at this zipper point, but I think I can maneuver that. Yeah. Look at that, people. We did it. We did a minky heart. Honestly, the hardest part was just because where it's fuzzy, it was hanging out over top of the zipper. So whenever I was trying to attach the binding, it was sticking out there and I had to trim that. That was the hardest part. Otherwise, it really wasn't that bad. We made a minky heart. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me and watching this today. I know it wasn't a typical tutorial where I really gave a lot of detail and a lot of good tips or pointers. I will be back to doing the regular videos next week, but I just wanted to do this one to help participate with the Valentine's Day Marathon, even though I'd already done one of these tutorials, so I didn't want to repeat everything again, so I just wanted to kind of have fun with this one. Thank you so much. I can't wait to see your hearts, and I hope someone else tries a minky heart too. Thank you, and you guys have a great day.